If you don't love something, you're not going to go the extra mile, work the extra weekend, challenge the status quo as much. Do you want to spend the rest of your life selling sugared water, or do you want a chance to change the world? Older people sit down and ask, "What is it?" But the boy asks, "What can I do with it?" Truthfully, I don't mind being edited. That's been one of my mantras: focus and simplicity. Simple can be harder than complex. You have to work hard to get your thinking clean, to make it simple. But it's worth it in the end, because once you get there, you can move mountains. Being the richest man in the cemetery doesn't matter to me. Going to bed at night saying we've done something wonderful, that's what matters to me. My favorite things in life don't cost any money. It's really clear that the most precious resource we all have is time. If you are working on something exciting that you really care about, you don't have to be pushed. The vision pulls you. You know, my main reaction to Apple's philanthropy under his leadership was he never asked me about it. He never asked me what I thought about Apple's philanthropic efforts or about my own personal philanthropic inclinations. It was simply not a subject that came up. We're passionate about software. You press the button and we care what happens next. You can't just ask customers what they want and then try to give that to them. By the time you get it built, they'll want something new. We are here to put a dent in the universe. Otherwise, why else even be here? You have to be burning with an idea, or a problem, or a wrong that you want to right. If you're not passionate enough from the start, you'll never stick it out. Design is a funny word. Some people think design means how it looks. But of course, if you dig deeper, it's really how it works. Technology is nothing. What's important is that you have faith in people, that they're basically good and smart, and if you give them tools, they'll do wonderful things with them. You can't mandate productivity. You must provide the tools to let people become their best. The only problem with Microsoft is they just have no taste. They have absolutely no taste. And I don't mean that in a small way. I mean that in a big way, in the sense that they don't think of original ideas, and they don't bring much culture into their products. In most people's vocabularies, design means veneer. It's interior decorating. It's the fabric of the curtains and the sofa. But to me, nothing could be further from the meaning of design. If you want to live your life in a creative way, as an artist, you have to not look back too much. You have to be willing to take whatever you've done and whoever you were and throw them away. I want to put a ding in the universe. Design is not just what it looks like and feels like. Design is how it works. For the past 33 years, I have looked in the mirror every morning and asked myself, if today were the last day of my life, would I want to do what I am about to do today? And whenever the answer has been no for too many days in a row, I know I need to change something. One way to remember who you are is to remember who your heroes are. The only way to do great work is to love what you do. Now, as you graduate to begin anew, I wish that for you, stay hungry, stay foolish. Thanks and congratulations to you all. Innovation comes from people meeting up in the hallways or calling each other at 10:30 at night with a new idea, or because they realized something that shoots holes in how we've been thinking about a problem. Pretty much, Apple and Dell are the only ones in this industry making money. They make it by being Walmart. We make it by innovation. Deciding what not to do is as important as deciding what to do. Sometimes when you innovate, you make mistakes. It is best to admit them quickly and get on with improving your other innovations. Picasso had a saying, "Good artists copy, great artists steal," and we have always been shameless about stealing great ideas. Remembering that I'll be dead soon is the most important tool I've ever encountered to help me make the big choices in life. I would trade all my technology for an afternoon with Socrates. You can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking backward. So you have to trust that the dots will somehow connect in your future. Things don't have to change the world to be important. In business, cash flow is more important than revenues, and understanding cash flow is imperative. Don't be trapped by dogma, which is living with the results of other people's thinking. I think the things you regret most in life are the things you didn't do. We don't get a chance to do that many things, and everyone should be really excellent. Because this is our life. Life is brief, and then you die, you know? So this is what we've chosen to do with our life. Let's go invent tomorrow rather than worrying about what happened yesterday. Your work is a large part of your life, and the only way to be truly satisfied is to do what you believe is great work. Innovators tend to look at technology as enabling and try to innovate on top of it. The system is that there is no system. That doesn't mean we don't have process. Apple is a very disciplined company, and we have great processes. But that's not what it's about. Process makes you more efficient. Stay hungry, stay foolish. Our belief was that if we kept putting great products in front of customers, they would continue to open their wallets. The people who are crazy enough to think they can change the world are the ones who do. Sometimes life hits you in the head with a brick. Don't lose faith. Great things in business are never done by one person. They're done by a team of people. It's not the tools that you have faith in. Tools are just tools. They work or they don't work. It's people you have faith in or not. No one wants to die. Even people who want to go to heaven don't want to die to get there. And yet death is the destination we all share. No one has ever escaped it. And that is as it should be, because death is very likely the single best invention of life. It is life's change agent. It clears out the old to make way for the new. The most precious thing that we all have with us is time. Your time is limited. Don't waste it living someone else's life. If you don't cannibalize yourself, someone else will. Getting fired from Apple was the best thing that could have ever happened to me. The heaviness of being successful was replaced by the lightness of being a beginner again. It freed me to enter one of the most creative periods of my life. I think if you do something and it turns out pretty good, then you should go do something else wonderful, not dwell on it for too long. Just figure out what's next. Don't take it all too seriously. If you want to impress somebody, just be yourself. Remembering that you are going to die is the best way I know to avoid the trap of thinking you have something to lose. Again, you can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking backwards. So you have to trust that the dots will somehow connect in your future. You have to trust in something, your gut, destiny, life, karma, whatever. If you haven't found it yet, keep looking. Don't settle. As with all matters of the heart, you'll know when you find it. It's not a faith in technology. It's faith in people. Bottom line is, I didn't return to Apple to make a fortune. I've enough to last 10 lifetimes. Have the courage to follow your heart and intuition. They somehow already know what you truly want to become. Everything else is secondary. Ultimately, it comes down to taste. It comes down to trying to expose yourself to the best things that humans have done, and then try to bring those things into what you're doing. What a computer is to me is the most remarkable tool that we have ever come up with. It's the equivalent of a bicycle for our minds. It's really hard to design products by focus groups. A lot of times, people don't know what they want until you show it to them. Don't let the noise of others' opinions drown out your own inner voice. You should never start a company with the goal of getting rich. Your goal should be making something you believe in and making a company that will last. Don't be afraid to ask for help when you need it. It's a sign of strength, not weakness. Details matter. It's worth waiting to get it right. Some people say, give the customers what they want, but that's not my approach. Our job is to figure out what they're going to want before they do. I think Henry Ford once said, if I'd asked customers what they wanted, they would have told me, a faster horse. The journey is the reward. It's not about charisma and personality. It's about results and products and those very bedrock things that are why people are loyal to each other and to companies. If you keep your eye on the profit, you're going to skimp on the product. But if you focus on making really great products, then the profits will follow. So when a person drifts away from reality, whether it's through drugs or whatever, you get these extremes in behavior. It's clear to anyone watching him that he's not in touch with reality. It doesn't make sense to hire smart people and tell them what to do. We hire smart people so they can tell us what to do. Don't be afraid. You can change your life. I'm as proud of many of the things we haven't done as the things we have done. Innovation is saying no to 1,000 things. I'm convinced that the only thing that kept me going was that I loved what I did. Everything starts with a great idea. To turn really interesting ideas and fledgling technologies into a company that can continue to innovate for years, it requires a lot of discipline. Most people have no concept of how an automatic transmission works, yet they know how to drive a car. You don't have to study physics to understand the laws of motion to drive a car. You don't have to understand Boolean logic to use a personal computer. The most powerful person in the world is the storyteller. Don't let others convince you that the only way to be successful is to follow their path. Create your own path. We're gambling on our vision, and we would rather do that than make me 2 products. Let some other companies do that. For us, it's always the next dream. I think death is the most wonderful invention of life. It purges the system of these old models that are obsolete. I'm an optimist in the sense that I believe humans are noble and honorable, and some of them are really smart. I have a very optimistic view of individuals. Great art stretches the taste, people's willingness to accept something new and challenging. Be a yardstick of quality. Some people aren't used to an environment where excellence is expected. We're here to put a dent in the universe. Otherwise, why else even be here? I'm convinced that about half of what separates the successful entrepreneurs from the non-successful ones is pure perseverance. If you died tomorrow, how would you feel about the last thing you did? Would you feel fulfilled? There's a phrase in Buddhism, beginner's mind. It's wonderful to have beginner's mind. Innovation distinguishes between a leader and a follower. Quality is more important than quantity. 1 home run is much better than 2 doubles. At Apple, people are putting their hearts into what they're doing, and I think that shows. As individuals, people are inherently creative, but in large organizations, the creative instincts of people seem to become stifled. People think focus means saying yes to the thing you've got to focus on. But that's not what it means at all. It means saying no to the 100 other good ideas that there are. You have to pick carefully. Simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. The only way to get rid of the fear of doing something is to go out and do it. Partnerships shouldn't get in the way of providing the best experience for the customer. There's a point at which you say, this isn't worth it for our customers, period. The older I get, the more I realize the importance of intuition, and the less important everything else becomes. Creativity is just connecting things. When you ask creative people how they did something, they feel a little guilty because they didn't really do it. They just saw something. It seemed obvious to them after a while.